There. All right, that's recording. Good. All right, so Shawn, I sent you the questions you some time ago. You probably already forgot them, so it'll feel like brand new, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's all going to be brand new off the cuff.
We have sat down before, right? And you and I are friends, right? And so that's why I've tried to be very as even-handed as I can be, because I wanted to have this interview. I wanted, here in Murfreesboro, we just don't have a lot of media coverage. We should, right? If we were where Jackson, Tennessee is, we would have our own TV station, right?
I agree with that.
But because we're so close to Nashville, there's not a lot of coverage here. And so that's why I feel like, even though I like to think that a lot of people listen to this stuff, I know that that's not the case, but it's a way to get the message out, right? And so that's why you are my friend. I want everybody to know that. I sent him the same questions I sent to everybody else, and that's what I'm going to work off of.
All right.
And so are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, awesome, man. So let's see here. We'll start off with you are a real estate agent, and so do you think being a real estate agent makes you a better councilman?
I think there's some advantages of me being a real estate agent. I know being a real estate agent, a lot of people go, well, that's a negative in the city of Murfreesboro, but I'm just a regular realtor. I represent people finding homes and small businesses find locations. I'm not representing
negative. I'm going to interrupt you. When you say negative, what do you mean by that?
Well, they think that the thing about the realtors run the city and all that stuff, and builders, developers, realtors are all in one big group and they just do whatever they want to. I'm not that kind of person. I think we should have had some controlled growth this whole time and grew at a steady, rapid pace with controlled growth. Now, am I saying that growth is bad? No, that's not what I'm saying. Growth is good. Development is good when it's done correctly. So that's all good. But we have to be able to sit there and grow together and move forward. And being a realtor, especially helping small businesses and people find homes, I kind of know where people want to move to, where businesses want to move to. It kind of gives me a good thing as far as codes and planning and things like that. I know what businesses and people are looking for to put their spots. So that's a little bit different than having somebody that has no knowledge of anything like that. I have an advantage over that. I'm in it every day.
Yeah. So some people in our community say that we don't have any traffic problems. Do you think we have traffic problems?
We have a traffic problem. If I have to sit, I work downtown. I live off South Church. As a realtor, I'm driving around town all day. If I have to sit in traffic for 45 minutes to go 5 miles, we have a traffic problem.
I concur. Let's see here. So one of the things that, that's really important to me is that district representation.
Yes.
And how do you feel about that?
I think you and I differ a little bit. I'm for a hybrid system. So okay. I think there should still be some at large, but I think there needs to be a district also. And if you're going to switch, it's how fast do you pull the trigger? Do you grow the council at the same time? I'm not usually a fan of growing government, so I don't know about growing the council size necessarily, but switch to 4 districts and 2 at larges for now. And that way you still have 3 representatives plus the mayor. So you really still have 4 that you can contact and be at, but you also have a district representative that you can call or contact that is going to live in your zone.
I like to think that we're growing accountability and not government when we're adding to that, but yeah. That's how I stomach it. So,
well, and here's where I come at, and I come at it kind of a fiscal thing also. If you got add 3 more positions or 5 more positions, whatever it is, that's $15,000 a person so you're growing a budget for a city that's already got financial problems too. So I'm looking at it as a holistic thing, not just as a single shot thing. I'm trying to look at it holistically.
Sure. So, in the news lately, there's been a lot of, when I first sent you these questions, the Black Lives Matter movement was definitely in the forefront. And so I have a few questions about that.
Sure.
How do you feel about Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I think you got to separate the organization and the movement first. The organization, the organization is a political organization. So you got to take the organization, separate it from the movement. Does the movement have some credence and some good ideas? Absolutely. Does the movement also have some stuff that's an emotional thing? Yes. The best thing to do is we need to get all sides sitting down, communicate, spread those things out. What's a good idea? What's kind of fluff? What's emotional? And sit down and actually come to a discussion and talk and figure out what we need to do as a community to grow together instead of divide apart.
Okay. So, this next question is something that if you had been on the council if you were running as an incumbent, as all your other competitors are, right?
Right.
There's been a lot of votes that, that I've been against and things of that nature. What do you think over the past 4 years, what do you think would have been the hardest vote if you'd been on the council?
Well, I think you got three big votes that everybody knows about. It's either Hidden River, Hidden Valley, the development. You've got the electric company. You've got the tax increase. Those are the three that have been the biggest bones of contention in the past 4 years. I would have been against the tax increase. I think cuts should have been made. I think it's a hard precedent to set, raising taxes when you spend money like they spend money, especially when you raise taxes and then a month and a half later approve a $20 million soccer complex. So you got to take all that into consideration. I would have liked to seen real cuts be made before a discussion of a tax increase came up. And so I would have been against the tax increase for that. The electric company, I haven't talked to a single person that was against the electric company sale. Everybody I've talked to was against the electric company sale process. Right. If it would have been more out front, more transparent, more discussed openly, I don't know if anybody would have been against it. Is it good or bad for the city? That's yet to be seen. That depends on how that money is spent, how it's used, how we go forward with that money. So we won't know about that for years. But I don't know if anybody would have been really upset with the electric company if it was done in a different manner.
Okay. So something that I've sort of noticed as I've watched our local government is that sometimes there seems to be a conflict of interest on some of the things that come up before the council and before our county commission and things of that nature. And very few people ever decide to abstain from voting on something. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you have a personal connection to that, you should abstain yourself and walk out of the room before the discussion starts.
Do you think that, do you feel like that should have happened in the past?
I think there are occurrences where it's happened in the past. And Mayor McFarland, with his development on Church Street, did get up, abstain, and walk out of the room when they were discussing his development. I've heard other stories where other stuff was done and they didn't walk through. Councilman Martin has abstained several times with stuff he's been, and he has abstained and taken care of it. Yeah. So it's a personal responsibility thing. If you're a councilman or the mayor or a commissioner or whoever you are, and you have a personal interest, you have a duty to abstain from that vote. And really, you should step out of the discussion on the vote also.
I guess the question is how far the reach, right? Like,
right.
Like definitely with Shane and it being his development, right? But
right.
But sometimes you just wonder, like what reach, how many levels, right?
Yeah.
Or do you?
Well, I mean, if you're personally going to make any money off that situation, I don't care how many levels down you are. If you're personally going to make money, you need to abstain.
Okay. What about let's see, kind of back to the Black Lives Matter a little bit, but how do you feel about a police community oversight board?
I'm not against it. I think it needs to take people from all over the community, not just one socioeconomic place or one race or one group. I think we should have a real fitting group of individuals to look over things and go from there. I know some cities have had police oversight boards, and you said the argument against them or for them is, well, the police unions may be too pro-police, but then you've had some community oversight boards that have been anti-police. So it's like to an 180-degree opposite. You
Right.
need a good sampling of the whole community, and when you oversight it with blinders. Look at the situation as it is in front of you and make a judgment on that situation.
Okay. Let's see here. So what if you get if you were elected? What's going to be like your priority? What's like what are like some of the things that you really want to get done during your first term?
Well, I think fiscal responsibility is a must. COVID is going to be a long stretching. We don't know where even the end of it is as far as finances go. The city has put some projects on hold between now and the next couple of years that should have never been like soccer complex, for instance. That was a loss for the city. There was no way the city was ever going to recoup that money. Should have never been approved. I'm not for a hockey rink that's been spent by tax dollars. If the Predators want to come here and put a hockey rink for a junior hockey league or for a skate, let the Predators pay for it and come down here and do it. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility to pay for somebody's private business. And that's not fair to the taxpayers that we just hit with a 36% tax increase last year. So I think we got to put an end to these tax abatement and PPP things for a while.
Do you feel like there are any problems that we'll be having to deal with in the next 4 years?
Well, you've got, again, you don't know how COVID is going to lead us down the path. We definitely just sit down and have discussions on these race relations. We need to grow as a community instead of separate as a community. Those are going to be two big ones. You've got the Murfreesboro City EMS that's going to be a discussion real soon. You've got the school mergers that's going to be a discussion real soon. You've got red light cameras that are up for contract. So you've got some major issues that are coming up down the pike that are going to have to be decided on.
Do you care to tip your hand on any of those issues?
I will not vote to renew the red light cameras. I'm against the red light cameras. The school merger, I think that is a major discussion. A lot of people say, hey, it's a big it will lower the city budget and it'll cut taxes. But really, it's not cutting taxes anywhere. You're just moving taxes from the city structure to the county structure. You're not going to lose a lot of jobs going from the city to the county. So really, you're not really saving any money. So then it comes down to a thing. Is the city school system an asset to the city? Or can the city move on without that? That's the main discussion. The city school system, which I'm a product of, I went through the city school system K through 8. The city school system is different than the county system. They teach the students different. They use technology different. It's a different school system. So if I had to make the vote today, I would say no to a school merger, because I don't think it's as simple as, hey, this is going to save us money, because it's not saving as a taxpayer, you're not saving money. You're just moving the money from one line to the other line. Your city taxes will go down, but your county taxes will go up.
At least, if you're living in the city, at least they probably go down. Like, like you'd save a little bit because you're spreading the cost out a little further, I suppose.
Yeah, but you don't even know if that's necessarily the case, because the way the federal government gives money to the school systems is by a number of students. So as of right now, with the Murfreesboro City school system being about 9,000 students, and there's a ratio of Title I students to 9,000 kids, where when you put those 9,000 kids on top of the Rutherford County system, that ratio moves. So you don't know if those federal dollars for the Title I or Title IX, or I don't remember the exact thing, when that goes against to the school system, you may not get as much federal funds. The taxes may go up.
Yeah, that's way more than I realized as far as that one goes. So,
and then as far as the Murfreesboro City EMS, and I haven't seen this in writing, so I want to study it in writing. As proposed to me, verbally proposed to me, my understanding is St. Thomas and/or Vanderbilt is willing to foot the bill for the entire thing. No taxpayer expense. They're willing to pay for the trucks. They're willing to pay for the manpower, and they would just be run out of the fire departments. And that way, Vanderbilt or St. Thomas would get to use the billing from the ambulances. So if that is the case, and like I said, I want to see it in writing. If that is the case, that is a win-win for the city of Murfreesboro. We pick up a ambulance service, and we don't have to pay for it, and we get a service that takes care of our communities for quicker response times.
Yeah, sounds like a win to me.
Yeah.
All right. Do you feel like there are any other cities that you can look to that Murfreesboro can learn from? Like, does that make sense? Like cities you'd like to see us grow into or be like?
I've grown up here, so I've been here my whole life, and for at least the last 20 years, we've always been told that we want to be Franklin. And I mean, you hear that all around the community. We want to be Franklin. We want to be Brentwood. We want to be that. And if you go back 20 years, I don't know, what year did you move to Middle Tennessee?
Around '08.
Around '08. So if you go back to 99, 2000, Franklin and Murfreesboro were comparably sized cities. Mm-hmm. One was 35-ish thousand. One was 40,000. I mean, comparable size.
Right.
The average home price was within about $50,000. And you go back and now fast forward 20 years, we've got apartments, blue collar jobs, yada, yada. And there's nothing wrong with blue collar jobs. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at the way we've grown and the way Franklin has grown, they've controlled their growth. They've taken care of everything. They've built apartments, but they're not widespread like ours. They've recruited a bunch of white collar jobs, a bunch of C-level headquarters, and they're an elite city. They're someplace that when companies come, they want to go to Franklin.
Yeah.
When people look at us, it's how much are you going to pay us to come to your city? We've got to get that off of it.
Right.
Costco's coming to Murfreesboro, whether we give them $1 million or not. You got 140,000 people in the city limits and 300,000 people in the county. They're going to come to Murfreesboro if they want to come to Murfreesboro. You don't have to give them an incentive. They're going to come.
Sure.
We have to show that we're a valuable city. So it's not necessarily what city do we want to be like. It's what city are and how do we show it?
Okay. Let's see. What about a partnership between MTSU and the city? Do you see any future in that?
What I would like to see MTSU and the city do is on our bureaucratic levels in the city government, what if we used a partnership with MTSU? I graduated the University of Memphis in grad school, my MBA. And they were set up that as you graduated with your MBA from the University of Memphis, you could go get a job at FedEx or International Paper or somewhere like that as soon as you graduated. I mean, it was all but guaranteed when you graduated your MBA from Memphis, you had a job waiting on you.
Sure.
It would be interesting if MTSU could set up a system like that, not just with the city of Murfreesboro, but with the local employers. Yeah. And that way, as people, let's say you go to MTSU for city planning. Mm-hmm. Well, if you graduated with city planning and you finished top of your class, maybe we have a place for you at the city of Murfreesboro. Wow. We need to help MTSU become a destination college to make sure that people are getting jobs as they come out of school. When you go get a degree and you go and sit in front of that person, that administrator, and they go, well, look, if you graduate from here, we can almost guarantee you a $100,000 job down the street. Do you think that helps your school?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that helps your city if the school that's in your city is bringing people in and guaranteeing them or nearly guaranteeing them six-figure jobs out of school? It helps the city. It helps the community. So I think that's where I think MTSU and the city can work together to promote MTSU students for jobs.
Yeah, I feel like so goes MTSU, so goes Murfreesboro.
Yeah. Well, think about this. There's been a lot of talk about Nissan and Nissan being in bad shape. Can you imagine the Middle Tennessee economy without Nissan?
No.
And it's not just the Nissan plant itself in Smyrna. It's all the feeder plants. It's all the other ancillary groups. If Nissan moved out of Middle Tennessee, that's the economy of Middle Tennessee. So we have to figure out a way to get industry in that's non-auto related.
Right, to help balance it out.
Right.
So the question that I have for you, the last one, with COVID going on, it's harder to get in front of people right now.
Absolutely.
And, I'm hoping that this interview helps you get to face to face with people, so to speak. So What would you say to someone that you're looking to earn their vote?
I will say that I'm very transparent. I will tell you exactly how I feel. I will always communicate. I mean, with the business I'm in, I have my phone on me 24 hours a day. So if I get a text message or an email or something like that, I'm going to communicate the same day. It's just that easy. I will always tell you how I feel, and I will always be willing to hear what you have to say. I think that's important. I think that the people of Murfreesboro deserve a city council that listens. So I think we've got to get down. We've got to listen to the people. If you have 400 people in a room talking about how they don't want the taxes increased, I think that's a pretty good mandate to the city council to say, these people don't want the taxes increased. Right. If you've got to be able to listen to the people, and I'm willing to listen to the people. I may not agree with you politically. That's okay. Let's still sit down. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's talk it out. Guess what? You may not agree politically with me, and I may not agree politically with you, but the other one of us may be right and be able to make a point to the other that this is where we need to be, and let's get there.
Sounds good. Well, Shawn, thank you. I wish you the best of luck in this race.
Thank you. Man. Thanks for having this.
For running, and hope it goes well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having